Hello, Twyla.
Hi.
How are you?
Awesome. How are you?
I am doing very well, thank you. As we are giving folks a moment here to log into the YouTube link, um, I will start off by introducing myself. My name is Ashley. I am a part of the Discover team here at Teachable. And do us a favor, let us know in the comments if you can see us and hear us. Want to make sure that everything is working well for you to experience the fullness of Twyla's wisdom today. Um, so drop us a note, let us know, and also tell us where you're tuning in from. It's always fun to see the geographic distribution of folks who are finding these events. So let us know. Like I said, my name is Ashley, and I'm really excited to be joined by Twyla here today for many reasons. One is that she's kind of a Renaissance woman. She's got a background, and you were a photographer for a while, right, Twyla? Like handful of years. Still, I guess once a photographer, always a photographer. But then you started teaching, and along the way, like many of us, discovered that there are things that you struggled with in building out your professional disciplines that were maybe creating a barrier for you to kind of achieve the success that you were looking for, or maybe the rhythm that you were looking for in your professional life. And thus kind of was born the strategic creative, right? You honed your own skills in developing systems and processes that allowed you the space to really hone your creative skills and capitalize on those in a professional way. And that is what we're going to be learning from Twyla today. So while you're also, oh, hi, Judy, from Pahrump, Nevada. That is an amazing name of a place. I really like that. I am excited to. So those of you also in the comments, let us know what inspired you to join us today. What is your creative endeavor, and what are you hoping to get more strategic about? Would love to hear from folks about where you are in your journey. So I will turn it over to Twyla. Thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to share in your experiences and your wisdom.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone for tuning in today. So I'm really excited to get started. And this, I want to be, I don't know, upfront about this. Like, this is something I am actively working on, and I don't know that you ever really kind of feel like you've nailed it all down. It's just a process. So I am excited to share what is working for me, because I consider myself like a really hard case to, I don't know, overcome the obstacles I've had to overcome to get some clarity on all of this. So anyway,
you're your own first guinea pig.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, if I can figure it out for me, then I'm pretty sure like works. So yeah, so welcome to the Idea Generator course. I created it to combine my love for systems and workflows with inspiring and motivating content to help you get out of your own way, because I needed to get out of my own way. And I learn best when I'm teaching others. So I wanted to develop this course to tackle my biggest problem, which is content planning and showing up consistently on social media. But even more importantly, it's showing up in a valuable way on social media that creates impact. So I've noticed the more social media that I consume, the more disenchanted I am with showing up in superficial way to boost vanity metrics like follower accounts and posting to post. And I just felt like I was adding noise to an already very loud feed of content that also wasn't really seeing much. So I care about creating change and transformation and being useful to people that I'm connecting with on social media. So I set out to find the perfect app that was going to help me plan content with purpose. And ideally, it would be connected to my business goals and my values. And on my quest to find this magical app, for something much more important. And that's what I want to share with you today. So I truly believe that, let me find out how to change my slides again, that creating content with impact will change your life. I trialed every app. I hired content creators. I bought all of the caption templates and nothing worked for me. I still found myself letting 2 weeks slip by without posting on social media. And when I did show up, I did not know what to say. So it just, it felt so meaningless and superficial to me. So I was running out of motivation to keep going at all. And what I learned about myself was that I am a perfectionist, and an empty page can feel really overwhelming, so that I just don't create at all. And there were either too many ideas or none at all. And the frustrating part about that was that I knew that I had something to say. So the reason none of those solutions ever worked for me was because I was looking for this magic wand that would take me from never writing and resenting the fact that I had to post on social media to creating valuable, insightful content on a consistent basis. That's a huge leap. Big wins like that rarely happen, and apps do not change your life. So if we want to get better at anything, the secret truly is to take small steps. Find systems and frameworks that eliminate the resistance that prevents you from doing what you really want to do, and work to get a little bit better at implementing them and adapting them to fit your needs and the way that you work best. So I'm sharing all of this with you as I'm learning to and getting better myself. A little bit about me. My life at this point revolves around creating content. So that's another reason why it's so important for me to figure this out. I used to work at a pathology lab. I picked up photography as a hobby. After having 2 kids, that hobby quickly became another full-time job. So before long, I was actually able to make that my only job. And then not long after that, I realized I really loved helping other photographers be able to do that too. I really found it incredibly empowering to be able to do something like that, because I never thought I would be capable of, even just running my own business or something, especially, with 2 young kids at home. So it was a lot to take on, and I still can't believe that I did it. So if I can help other people do that and find a little bit more happiness or fulfillment and being able to do that, that means a lot to me. So after adding the teaching onto my plate, that went really well. So my husband was able to quit his job. So now I have 3 kids and a husband that never leave the house, and they won't leave me alone. So I had to rent an office downtown, and that's where I am now. And so in the evenings, I get to take pictures, and during the day, I come here and I learn, and I have ideas, I write, and I put together all of these, ideas and creations together in ways that I hope will be helpful to other people that have struggled where I have struggled. So I help photographers connect to their purpose so that they can create work that allows them to do whatever it is they want to do. And that brings us back to why we're here today. There are a lot of reasons why photographers struggle with social media. By its very nature, it's designed to distract you. Some reasons we don't post at all are, we don't believe our work is good enough, imposter syndrome, procrastination, which a lot of times for me is just perfectionism. Sometimes you're just over it, or you're distracted. You get on to post and then the feed catches your eye, or you start watching reels or something and you don't even do what you went there to do. It's easy to feel like it's pointless if you aren't getting any interaction on the things that you post, or maybe you just don't have any good ideas. You don't know what to post. And some of the most common mistakes that I have found photographers make when it comes to sharing with impact on social media, and me too. I've done all these. So one, and some of these are really simple and have nothing to do with like the actual images that you're sharing. One really is not formatting your writing. So it's actually just difficult to read what you're trying to share. Only talking about the people that are in the image that you're sharing. Only using song lyrics as captions. Only using quotes as captions. Using captions only to promote. Talking only about yourself in a way that's not helpful. and also just not opening with a hook. Like, the point is to catch people's attention and make it easy for them to digest what you're sharing. So when you don't give a little bit of thought to things like that, that can affect how you're showing up and how you're able to reach the people that you want to reach. So to overcome these struggles, all you need is a plan. Today, we're going to create a content strategy so you know what to say and who you're talking to, create a system for storing inspiration, create a system for brainstorming new ideas from your inspiration that are valuable to you and your audience, how to look for signals from your audience to grow your reach and stop wasting your time on social media, and then discuss creative mindset to get you over any limiting beliefs that might still be lurking around. So before I start on all of that, I just want to talk about the difference between content and the art that you create. I feel like it's kind of gross to call your art content, like it diminishes it somehow. So I want to just make the distinction that art is what you create. Content is just what you put together to share on social media to achieve a purpose. It's marketing, it's advertising. And I feel like sometimes as artists, that's a hard thing to accept because we don't want to feel like we're selling. But the fact of the matter is, if we want to attract new people, new opportunities, and make any money, we have to get eyes on the things that we create. So stop calling social media your portfolio and start using it with intention to get your work seen by the people that you want to see it and open up the doors of opportunity for yourself. Social
Twyla?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but can you just say that one more time? Content is is not your art. It's the package that you put it on for social media. Can you just repeat the way you framed that?
So content. So what you create is your art, right? Art is what you create. Content is what you put together to share on social media to achieve a purpose.
I love that. Yeah, I just wanted to have you say that again because I want to type it out and make sure that shows up as a comment. That's a really great way of putting it.
Well, and it's just, it's hard. It's hard when it's required for your job, and like the promotional materials you use are like the actual art that you create. And so what happens is you take it personal when it doesn't perform well, like it's a reflection on the thing that you made. But that's not social media it should be used as a series of experiments. Use it as like this persistent feedback loop to find out how the content that you put together is perceived and received by the audience that you have attracted. Use it to gauge and analyze metrics and data about what it is that you put together, what it is that you have to say, and how that resonates instead of a measure of your worth as an artist or a person. And when you do that the right way, when you are effective, a really great content can do a lot of really awesome things. And this is where we get into, really starting to create impact. And you can create impact in a lot of ways. Like even just helping somebody figure out like a better morning routine, that's impact, you know? So, you know, you can spark people into action. You can inspire new ways of thinking. You can teach somebody a new skill, like super simple stuff. But you can motivate change. So my focus for today is to just help you figure out how to go from consuming content to creating ideas that lead to creating content with impact. All right, so we are first. Oh, I should have shared that. I had a really great slide for that. Sorry. Oh, I had a bunch of them. I'm sorry. But here, I mean, I really want this one to sink in. Your numbers are not a measure of your value. It truly is just an experiment. All right, so we can talk about content strategy. So it is important to understand what your purpose is, to cover the value that you have to share that goes beyond the images that you create. So understanding this is fundamental to reaching the audience that finds value in what it is you have to share and say, and it sets you up for success. So it really all boils down to who you're talking to and what they value. So if you don't know, or if you're having trouble finding your core message, what, you know, people like to call your brand statement, it's your reason and your purpose for doing any of this at all. So think about something that, you know, might have been really difficult for you and the steps that it took and the mindset and, you know, just the skills that you had to learn to overcome it. And then a really great way to envision who you're creating for is to create, and this is just a framework that worked really well for me, in just trying to think of things that I could share and who I could help that was sort of also related to, you know, my job, how I was serving them. So it's this. It's thinking of kind of like this really general audience. So any content that you create for this general audience is also the content that's more likely to go viral, because these are things that a lot of people have in common. So if we are thinking about, and I use this example later on, but maybe if you are a birth photographer, so your general audience could just be moms. And so there's a lot of content you can create that is going to be helpful to moms, that, you know, you can think about things that moms might struggle with or relate to, that you can create pretty easily. And a lot of times that content is a lot easier to create too. So, so that is the first one. And then you can niche that down. So next, that might look like thinking about like pregnant moms, if you're a photographer, of course. So that's going to niche down that audience a little bit. And you can think about things that are going to appeal specifically to them. Or, I mean, really just think about what they're searching for on Google and try to have the answers for them. And then if you want to niche down even further, we can think about this in terms of industry. So this could be pregnant moms that want a home birth photographed, and then that's getting into very specific content. So and this is important to keep in mind just when you're analyzing your content that we'll talk about later, because that's probably not going to perform or be shared as widely, maybe because the audience just isn't as big, but that content's going to be super, super value. And kind of the more you can niche down to that audience, the more value they're going to find in that, because it's going to be hard. And the more you can think in terms of that, the more value you can provide. So the purpose of the content strategy is really just to help you create a vision and a plan for the content. It's the why and how you create, it's who you want to reach and what purpose it serves your business. Do you really need one? I think that you do. A strategy, because I mean, I didn't have one forever. So a strategy ensures that what you create has a purpose. Experimentation is strongly encouraged, but it's not really that helpful without a strategy. So it helps you stop wasting time posting whatever you feel like, whenever you feel like it. And it's important to honor the time and talent it took you to create your art by sharing it effectively. And that's, that was a big fall off for me. I spent a lot of time creating the things I create. And then I was just so like over it that I didn't have the extra energy to think about how I could package it and, provide like a valuable like caption that wasn't more than like a song lyric or something. And then also, it just really helps you attract the type of clients you love working with, and it can really open doors to opportunities that you've never dreamed of. I also talk to a lot of photographers that struggle with the ideal client thing, or finding people that want to pay their worth and all of that. And this is really key to connecting with people that will do that. So let's see. There are 5 questions I've found that are all you have to answer to really come up with an effective strategy. And that is, who are you creating for? Why are you doing it? What type of content will you create? Where will you publish it? And how will you create the content? The beauty of this, and I know like I kind of resist being told what to do, or like rules, or like I have resisted like frameworks and things like that, like I know best or something. But why it works is creativity thrives with intentional constraints. When you choose how often you want to post every week, and you decide like how you're going to go about that, it really takes a lot of work out of it, and it helps you carve out intentional time to think about these kinds of things. So, you want to decide if you want to batch all the writing you need to do all at once, and you can do that once a week. You could do it once a month, or if you can count on having quiet time to yourself every day to write, something of value, you can set a time limit for yourself, and that's important, because otherwise, if you also share these perfectionist struggles like I do, you can end up spending 2 hours just trying to write one small caption. So those are some things that can really help out. And then, niching down the topics, the things that you're going to talk about. Like we were kind of niching down the audience, so we knew who we were talking about, and that's why or talking to. That's why that's so effective. So by choosing topics that are going to appeal to them, that are things we want to learn about, or things that we know and we enjoy talking about, but also hold value for them. That's the key. So just kind of like even brainstorming different prompts that are going to help you do that as well. To take some of that overwhelm away of just not knowing what to say. But again, it's all an experiment. So we'll create these frameworks, but it's, I encourage you to like go outside of that and just see if something sticks, and just follow your interest. So don't write about anything that you don't enjoy, and you're allowed to change those topics or throw in wild cards whenever that feels right to you. But as a general rule, it's just really effective to establish yourself as a go-to guide, or a teacher or thought leader on these subjects that really interest you. So as you dedicate more time learning about them, you may find this, and this is like the really cool thing, that you end up with like a whole new career path. And I mean, that's literally how it happens, spending time learning and sharing that in public, building in public. It's a really awesome thing. So try to choose one platform that you focus on until you really find a good flow. Some content works well on multiple platforms without any editing, kind of like a Facebook business page and Instagram. A lot of that stuff can just be posted to both at the same time. And it's also interesting to analyze the analytics when you're posting the exact same thing but on different platforms, and then thinking about what that tells you about your audience in the 2 different places as it performs differently. And then lastly, your environment. Try to find a distraction-free place to set up your writing sessions. So for me, what this looks like, so even if like you just feel like you have a very chaotic day, mine look like that, like with all 3 kids at home, well, and my husband. But now that I'm in this office, I found I have to go pick up the kids from a camp that they're at, and it's a 15-minute drive. And what I do is, like, sometimes we have our best ideas when we're unable to write, like when you're in the shower or if you're going for a walk or something, because what's happening is your mind is quieted down, like you can't consume all this content anymore, so you're not being fed all of these other people's ideas, and you just sit with those ideas, and they're just forming all of these like really great connections inside of your brain. So one thing that's been effective for me, if it's accessible to you, is to dictate my thoughts. So I use an app called Otter AI. I just started using that over the last week or two, and it's been really awesome. It works really well, and I can get a lot of thoughts out and a lot of writing done just when I'm going back and forth places. And I don't know, I'm really on this productivity kick, so it's really great to feel like I can get something done. And I listen to books. I have an app called what is it, Headway, and it summarizes books for you, and you can listen to them. So I can listen to that while I go pick up the kids, and as that is inspiring different thoughts in me or ideas or things that I want to explore further, I can just dictate it to myself. So that's been something that I've really been enjoying. So anyway, these are just helpful guidelines, but create a set of rules for yourself to keep you from overthinking, because the whole point is to just start doing. Again, thinking about it all like an experiment. Have to start putting stuff out to get data points to figure out like if this is working or not, and why or why not. Okay, so we're going to move on to the creative process. And the creative process is actually 2 different processes. It's having ideas, and then it's refining them. And both require completely different states of mind. And in order to execute better creations, we first have to generate them. You are a creator, so give yourself that sacred time every day to devote to letting ideas be born. So when you first sit down to create or write, instead of coming up with a plan, give yourself space to just spill out your thoughts, so that they have a chance to play together and, just exist, and let them intersect and maybe join together to form a new idea. Don't try to pick and choose which thoughts you're going to think. It's just see what comes out, and see what occurs to you, and just write them all down. And this, like, kind of creating in this chaotic state can eventually lead to one really solid and unique idea. And I, as I think a lot about that, it's exactly how I photograph. I am an overshooter. I take a lot of images, but I don't think another way could work for me, trying to do it within, kind of intentionally telling somebody exactly what to do and like posing them and then taking that shot, feeling happy with it, and then moving on. I don't know, it's like a flow and a journey for me. I kind of start with an idea, put them there, and then I'm just always trying to think of like how I can connect it further and further and further, and just shooting throughout the process. One thing I don't know, that just really works for me is kind of doing that, and also waiting for some magic. That's something you can't plan on. So sometimes that looks like, the perfect gust of wind, or like a bird flying through the shot or something. So I kind of like to stay in these moments and just sort of see what happens. And it's the same idea when you're starting to write your thoughts out. And one really important thing about getting these thoughts out is it's also influenced by the things that you're putting in. So I found that the more I really thought about these ideas, the way I was consuming content really started to change. I used to spend a lot of time on TikTok. I love that, because it's just, like minutes. It's just very condensed and dense information. So it's just like the best and the highlights of any kind of thought anybody's having. But the problem with that is I was finding even things that I thought were really meaningful or impactful, whatever, and I would favorite them. I never looked at the favorites again, but also I would forget. If I looked at the favorites I'd saved from the day before, I'd forgotten all of them because you don't spend enough time in that thought and you're just kind of moving on to the next. So anyway, as I started this process, I just found that the content I sought out ended up becoming more meaningful. And by connecting to things that are going to be helpful to, the people you want to help and create change for, you may find that you start seeking out different types of content as well. So, okay, so if you only create when you are inspired, it's important to make sure that you are inspired every day at the same time for like an hour. So design your space and just show up. And that truly is the hardest part. Like if I can just get you to sit down and start writing, and if it needs to be smaller, like literally 2 minutes, just make yourself write every day for 2 minutes and see what happens. And then for yourself to just kind of start getting words out on a page and see what spills out. And I will promise you, you know more than you think you know. You have to stop comparing yourself to people that have been doing this a lot longer than you. You truly do have value to offer. The curse of knowledge is actually a cognitive bias that tricks you into thinking that everybody knows more than you, and it will hold you back from helping others. And this has been very true for me as well. And another helpful thing that you can do is just share what you wish you knew 6 months ago, 2 years ago, because what seems ordinary to you now could be somebody's breakthrough. And that would have been true for you, whatever you were struggling with 6 months ago. And, just really seeking answers on whatever helped you overcome that can be really impactful for someone else. So, if you're lucky enough to have found something that you really love doing, that gives you an edge over other people. And learning these kinds of things is going to be easier. You're going to find that practice like this is not a chore. Writing, I kind of resisted writing for a long time. But the more I do it, the more I really love just getting all of these thoughts out and connecting new ideas. And I have to say, I still think I'm not going to have a good idea. I still think that, I'm going to read some great content and then just sort of recite the content back. But it's the practice, it's the act of doing it. It's even just allow yourself to outline something that you read and you'll be surprised. Like these little really great sparks and connections start to be made just through the process of doing that. So don't go in thinking you have to reinvent the wheel, or that you even have to have a great idea, because they just happen. And most importantly, it's fun. I swear it is. So on this also, perfection truly is the enemy of consistency, and successful creators are consistent creators. So break your creative process down to the smallest possible action and try to make it a habit. Doing this will build momentum for you, and it makes it easy to graduate to bigger and better habits. So just pick a starting point. Like I was saying, just the 2 minutes. So ridiculously easy that you have no excuse not to do that. And then don't base your goals on output, things like likes and number of comments. Instead, it on outcome, and that's just you creating and posting. So just your goal should be, however many times you want to post to social media that week. That is a measurable outcome that you have everything to do with the results, right? You can't control the number of likes or shares or whatever your content gets, but you can control how much of it that you are choosing to share. Output over outcome. It's all an experiment. Okay, so the idea generator. We are going to capture your ideas to boost your creativity and your productivity. So, right now, it's not like there's a scarcity of great content. Everybody's so good at everything. So when it's impossible to absorb everything from this flood of information, and that's when I was where I was at, kind of feeling defeated and like, why should I even say anything? Everybody's already said everything. The best we can do is pick and choose what matters the most to us. And sometimes, what an audience is looking for is just somebody to curate that for them. And that's kind of the idea about, I always hated when people said you have to niche, but it's a different idea of niching. It's niching, kind of like the topics and thoughts that you create content around. And it's more of a creation so that somebody can come to your feed and they know that probably everything that you have to say is going to resonate with them and provide value to them. So, we're all consuming a lot more media now, and people are willing to pay for high quality content like that. And that's something that you can really use to your advantage as a creator right now. All right, so you have to create an idea inbox. The hardest part about, writing is feeling like you have no ideas. And so when you do throughout a day, because you're having lots of ideas all the time, but like I said, sometimes it's in the shower when you're driving, you have to treat them like gold. And that means setting up systems to capture them. And that's the most important part of the creative habit, because like I said, this is where the creations come from. It's by first having the idea. So this can look like a lot of things, and it can get very technical. And I want to talk to you all day long about how technical I'm getting with it, but it can also just be very simple. So it can literally just be the notes folder on your phone, or something like, the Otter AI app, if you're able to transcribe your thoughts. It can just be a little notebook that you always keep with you. But the important thing is just to make a way of putting these ideas somewhere, but also with that, you have to empty that out. So you want to treat it like an inbox. And there are a lot of really great apps out there that really make this super easy. And there's this whole idea of building a second brain, which I just really wanted to talk to you about, but we would be here for hours. So anyway, they are these apps that you can basically, with a click of a button, you can send anything there. So I had a bad habit of always having lots of tabs open. And so now I don't have to I don't know, I feel like I would feel guilty by having them all, because I would know it was really good content I wanted to read, but there wasn't time. And it always slowed my computer down. So now I can just send them to this inbox, this database of articles, and I can tag them. And when I want to create content around a certain idea, I know that there is high quality stuff that I can refer back to, or that I've already taken notes on. So that's kind of the beauty of a more advanced system. But it truly is just making a way to save those ideas and then creating a time for yourself to go back and reflect on those ideas, because that's where things like Pinterest or my TikTok's favorite folder would fail, because I never went back to look at them. I was just always consuming more ideas. So it's really important to come up with a way, and there's no one size fits all for that. So it's just kind of like holding on to this idea and figuring out a way that you can make that really easy for yourself. And then trying to clear that out every day. That can be a little hard too, but at least once a week, going through those ideas and sorting them out. And then brainstorming. I want you to refer back to those audience types, and then make yourself brainstorm 3 ideas for each type of audience. And be aware that each type of audience is on like a different path in their journey with like you and your brand. Some people don't know you at all. Some people are looking to hire somebody that does what you do. And some of them are customers of yours that have already bought for you. So you want to serve them and give them value in different types of ways. So these are just a few different ideas you can brainstorm on to think of things that would appeal to each one. And this is one of my favorite things to do. I really like brainstorming ideas and headlines about content that I can create. So I hope that you enjoy doing that, but if not, like connect with me and I will literally brainstorm for you. So here's an example of what that could look like. If your general one was pregnant moms, so not even moms, but pregnant moms, you could, and you're kind of an expert on this if you're a birth photographer, you know, like about birthing gowns and you know, your clients that are getting them and getting some that aren't ugly or what their needs might be. A shot list of must-have images to take after your baby is born, how to make a birth plan. Those are things that pregnant moms are actively searching for. And this is a way for you to provide value to them and then be on their radar. You know, even if they're not ready to hire a birth photographer yet, maybe it never occurred to them to even do that. But if you have a lot of this like really great value that's going to help them through this process, they're also going to find out about the other really great things that you do. So then going on to the next bucket is moms planning a home birth. So creating content specifically for them. So helping them with like a birth playlist, having them, or ideas for like gifts they can add to their baby shower list, which could even include birth photography, a shot list of must-have images to take after your baby is born that I might have had that one twice, but you get the idea. And then lastly, it's moms that are having a home birth that also want to hire a photographer. So how to prep your home for the best birth photography images. You know that it's a struggle when you have to show up in the middle of the night and there's literally no light at all. So giving them creative ways to sort of light their space that other clients of yours have done. You can share, curate a list of your favorite images from home births. And those can be images you shot, or it's important to, kind of share with your industry and help promote and support other creators as well. So you can highlight images from other people and what's inspiring you to help give them great ideas, or even just inspire in them that they should have this done. What to know about photographing your own birth. So not everybody has to be our client for us to provide value. I think it's really important to, just provide value and serve the best we can. But also they might learn that article feels really overwhelming to them and then truly find a little bit more value in the service that you provide. More ideas, make a list of things you want to know more about. So now you're learning and then also getting to teach. Respond to something that you've just read. What changed after you read that for you? What did you learn? How did you find it? Why do you disagree? So a lot of the time, you're interested, obviously, in things that are going to make you better in your industry. And these are going to be sort of shared interests for your clients and potential clients and audience as well. Make a list of literally anything, your favorite, your worst, your go-to, anything like that. Curate the best of anything, explain how to do something, share a personal story and the life lesson that you learned from that, generate new ideas from something you've already written. So take something you've written that performed well, or even that didn't perform well, and think about applying a new framework to it. So making it into a list, or, teaching a lesson from it. And maybe it was just like a how-to or something. So how you actually learned that, what you taught them. And then you can also answer questions. This happens for me a lot. I'll post something and people start asking questions. I start to respond and it turns into an essay. So then that turns into another piece of content that I can share that I know is valuable to my audience because they're asking me to share more about it. Okay, so on to create. All right, so a lot of photographers that I speak with share that their biggest struggle is content planning because they're not a writer. That's why they're a photographer. They communicate through images. They aren't good at writing. They hate it. They don't know what to say. And, there really was a time on Instagram when you could post any image you wanted. Any great image was going to grow your following, to 100,000 so fast, but it's just not that way anymore. And unless you already have that following of 100,000, you're not going to see those same kind of results. So these are all just, kind of ways to overcome that and help you provide that value. And that's, a lot of the value in kind of brainstorming ideas like that. So the most important thing is to show up. So break the habit of not starting. Don't wait for the right idea. Don't over research. That's what I do. Don't not start it because somebody else, has already done it or answered this question or created content about it. Don't wait for the next trend to start creating. Just find a way to create every single day. And when I think about this, because I'm still struggling with this, but I was thinking, if it takes you a long time to end up making something, think of ways that you can kind of create snapshots of the journey and then share the journey as content instead of just the finished, polished end product. And I think that there's a lot of value in doing things like that and showing the journey and before and all of that. People are really interested in knowing things like that. So, the journey really is more interesting sometimes than that finished product. And then it's important to start putting ideas out before you end up spending tons of time creating a masterpiece to see how they resonate, but also because that feedback you get from, maybe the people you're creating this for can help make it better. So even if it's like a course, even something like this, like I'm definitely going to expand on a lot of this stuff because I just have so much to say. And, by kind of sharing it in little pieces, you can find out what really resonates with people or what, they just kind of like roll their eyes at or already know or whatever. Or maybe they're going to ask you questions that help you make that kind of content better. So that way it kind of becomes a collaboration, which I always think is a lot more fun than sort of working by yourself all the time. And then the parts that do, just resonate really well, double down on them. So maybe you need to create double content. Maybe just that one thing needs to be its own course that you can pull out. Or even thinking about just photography. Maybe you could just specialize in only mother-daughter photos or something, if that's like the thing that really resonates the most and you really don't like working with dad stuff, like you don't have to. You can just specialize and just do that one thing you really love really well and only do that. And, I think sometimes it is hard to see your value, and it's important to know that it's okay to suck because we all do. Nobody starts out like amazing at any of this. Oh, I think I need to. This was the slide before, practicing in public, starting small and doubling down on the things that work. Your best work truly is a journey. You're not going to start off amazing at anything. And this really great Bill Withers quote I wanted to share. You can't get to wonderful without passing through all right. This is the path it takes to get good, to get amazing at anything. You just have to put in the practice to get there. And not everybody's willing to do that. It can be frustrating, this whole thing, and feeling like nothing resonates or nothing you do is good. Not everybody has the patience for that, to just keep practicing until they're good enough. By their measures, I guess. But your first draft isn't meant for your audience. It's meant for you to figure out what you're going to say, how you're saying it, and how you can say it better. And it's what you do with that first draft that makes the difference. With all of those notes you scribble down, whatever, it's being able to pull out those good ideas, and that's going to be something that's unique to only you. And I think that we, especially me, I have a tendency to really overcomplicate things when really what we need to be doing is looking for ways to simplify them. All right, so on to growth. This one's really fun. I just really like talking about data. So it's really important to analyze what's going on. So I didn't even realize how awesome this was, but Facebook Business Suite is really great to look at, especially if you have your Instagram connected to it, because it has all the analytics that really tell you a lot about what's going on, about what you're posting. So I'm going to share some of mine with you. So you just have to go to the Facebook Business Suite and, oh, I don't think I grabbed this side of it, but you can look at it in all different kinds of ways. And the numbers tell you all different kinds of things about what you're looking at, and allow you to kind of figure out what works so you can do more of it, or find out what didn't work and also question why, especially if you thought it was good. Like I was talking about before, maybe it was literally because the way you shared your caption was unreadable because it was just one big blocky paragraph or something. But I just think it's so interesting to look at. And if you look at these top numbers, this is when I really kind of started connecting with this. I mean, I'm literally doing this right now, connecting with these things that are really valuable to share in my captions, instead of just thinking all of the value was in my images. The link clicks is what I want you to look at in the shares, because that's what I'm interested in. I want to create something that resonates so hard that people feel compelled to share it. And this was not happening before. I think what I pulled was like 2 years worth of content. And so it's filtered by what performed best. And that's what I saw. So like, okay, maybe we are onto something. And then you can also sort it by the type of engagement that you're getting. So this is sorted by comments. And what this tells me is, and especially knowing the type of content shared, that, people really, they had a lot to say. And the numbers don't tell you everything. I know the quality of this comment wasn't like nice photo or like emojis. They were, they were long comments, and some of them were really emotional. So it's really cool to be able to see that. And then, likes and reactions tell you a different story. Look, this is from the same time period and the images are different. So these didn't have that like value content in them. What's happening here is probably people that don't know me. I'm like kind of attracting a new audience just by the image, and they're just kind of superficially engaging with me and giving me lots of likes. So if you want to create more awareness for your brand, this is sort of like the results that you want to see. You want to have a lot of likes. And then this is what I'm super interested in right now. I want to create content that people really feel compelled to share. So I think some of these, sometimes it is just a really great image. Maybe somebody wants to recreate or something, so they're going to share it. Or maybe that client just has a big family and they'll share the image or something. But, it's really, I think it's really fun to come in here and sort of analyze what's really going on. So I found a lot of value in doing that. And that can help you if you've created shared a lot in your captions before. What you may find out is when you have shared something really vulnerable, that ends up resonating a lot more. And if you feel good about it, you may want to start creating more content that's like that. But truly, create more of what works, but also it's just an experiment. Like, let yourself just create and see what the numbers end up doing. That's the fun part. So, maybe I want to find out like how my audience feels about a certain thing, so I can write about that and see if that's going to resonate or not. But also sometimes it just tells you like you've cultivated the wrong audience by, sometimes by not taking an opinion. Of course, like you don't appeal to everybody, you just appeal to nobody. So you have, that's an effective way of writing if you feel comfortable with that, really taking an opinion so people can agree with you or disagree with you. And if it's something you feel strongly about, it's important to share, but also it helps really refine your audience so that you're not, kind of attracting people that would never hire you anyway. And of course, failure is vital to success. So even when you're failing, it's not teaching you anything. You learn your most valuable lessons, from your failures. I think you know that, but it's giving you data points to go off of, like, oh, they didn't like this, or maybe they would like it if you reformatted it or shared it in a different way. So, there's just so much to experiment with when we start looking at numbers and things from this perspective. Instead of taking it personally and letting it be a hit to your ego because the picture wasn't good enough, if you think it was good enough, to share than it was. So, thinking of different ways that we can, I don't know, just like reiterate or ideate different things that we're sharing is really effective. And, the most important thing is nobody cares about you. I do, though. I mean, really, everybody's looking at themselves. Everybody's looking at their own likes and their own follower accounts or whatever. Nobody's watching when you're messing up. The algorithm won't even show it to them. If nobody else likes it, they don't show it to anybody else. So nobody's really paying attention to you if you're, if your pictures aren't that great. They just don't have an opinion about it. It's not like they think you're awful. They don't even see it, So I really want you to internalize that in the very best way, to allow yourself freedom to just, post. Just get it out there. Just start getting those numbers, start those feedback loops to find out, find that intersection of what you care about and what your audience cares about, or cultivate a whole new audience that does care about those things. So just to summarize, this is kind of what we did today. Know who you're talking to, create with a goal in mind, capture ideas, make time to think about them. Just post it, get over yourself. Me, I still need to do that. Analyze what's going on with the numbers and just experiment, enjoy that ride, and just keep going. Just keep doing it, and you are going to get better and better. And I have I know I'm probably running out of time. So I have, are you back? Okay, hi.
Hi, it's good to see you.
It's so good to see you. I missed you.
This is gorgeous. I love this dynamic color in this photo, and want to just say, we do have a few minutes left, but for those of you online watching live, please share questions that you have for Twyla. More importantly, please drop a note in the comments thanking her for sharing this wisdom with us, because I have been like furiously taking notes, and
I was aware I was going over, and I know I was like probably talking fast, and I still have a whole conclusion slide I didn't even get to.
Well, that's the thing, though, is there's like you mentioned, it's a journey, right? And there are so many steps that you can take along the journey, and part of it is we have to just kind of get through this, the preciousness that we have about a lot of the whether it's content or the art that we're building or anything that we make, and just like you said, experimenting. And this is something that what you were saying resonated with me so much. I was mentioning to Twyla at the beginning of the session, my previous job, I came most recently from TED Talks, where I did speaker coaching and worked on helping individuals develop and articulate their ideas. And the number of times I found myself saying exactly what you're saying, Twyla, like, actually, nobody cares if you don't say, if you don't say this thing, no one's going to know, no one's going to care. The insecurity is coming from inside, and all people want is to feel your authenticity and to have their minds introduced to something new or innovative or beautiful or whatever it is, and you have the ability to give them that gift. So I love
too is just, I don't know, like favorite idea, maybe a weird way to say it, but people that, accuse the algorithm of hating them or their work or being shadow banned, and it doesn't serve you at all to start placing blame on things that don't have feelings. Instagram doesn't hate you, your content's just not good enough yet. Probably you probably know that you just put a song lyric in there and expected the image to just carry you to the moon, but at this point creators are all so amazing. Like, our feeds are just full of great stuff. And I think sometimes, honestly, it all kind of starts to look the same even. It's just, it's wild, like how good everybody is. And then you can hardly see the good because it's all so good. So it's hard to stand out when everybody's standing out. So you have to look to new ways to be able to do that. And a lot of times, what I found to be really effective is just really thinking about ways you can help people. And that's as simple as just saving them time. Like read a book and summarize it, outline it, and you just save them the time of like, oh, I'm definitely going to get that, and invest the time to read it. But that can be really helpful.
Which is amazing. And this is another thing, anybody who has seen any of these Discover Live events that we do, you'll notice that I am constantly observing from creators like Twyla and like other folks in completely different industries and fields and disciplines who all talk about the importance of giving your audience a gift. And just like Twyla, like you're saying, in a world where it's so hard to stand out, if what you're focusing on is being a part of that noise, then what you're missing out on is your unique ability to provide value to your audience in a way that maybe other people aren't. So I loved what you said about, finding the niche of, okay, you have specialized knowledge as a birth photographer. You have specialized knowledge about birthing gowns, which so share which few people have.
They don't share the same relationship with your birth client that you do, and care about the aesthetic in the way that they're going to, so you have like really exceptional kind of knowledge that I just don't see a lot being shared with, because people think the content they have to share in their blog is gallery after gallery, but really we don't care. I don't get as much value out of seeing another family's session, right? After 5 pages, I kind of get it, and there's 50 in there. I'm not going to spend much time. But if you took the time to curate a list, which is still easy for you, you probably have all the information in your Pinterest board. Go to Pinterest, start curating the stuff you're curating over there, but bring it over to your own platform.
I love that. And I want to ask you, so we have a couple of questions here. Rafaela asking about apps that you use, which I know I wanted to just give another shout out to Otter AI, because I'm a big fan of that too, as capturing.
Changing. I can't believe how good it works. Yeah, although I was going through last night, still putting content together for this, and I have some really funny ones because my kids are kind of coming back and forth, or my husband's yelling at the dog or something, and so just in the middle.
So there's just like
parts, but.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
For those of you who might have missed it, Otter AI is a transcripting software that lets you, it takes voice recordings and turns them into transcripts. And we used we piloted with Otter on my team at TED a couple of years ago, and it started out a little rough, but now it's like it saves so much time.
Also, just as a teacher and like wanting to really foster community in really great ways, I love that I can hook it up to Zoom, so it will transcribe in real time. Because I haven't found Zoom to be that accurate, but that's really great for anyone that's hard of hearing. My favorite thing is that it tags what you're saying. So this makes like the idea of this like content inbox even easier, because you don't have to go through and tag, what you're talking about. It pulls them out for you. It's incredible. I couldn't believe it when I noticed that was happening.
So I would say that's also, Judy, an answer to your question about getting over writer's block. Give yourself some tools that you can, that help you go back and look at things you've already done and things you've already said and conversations you've already had, because that's like Twyla, like you were saying, you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. You can just start by making a list of stuff that you see in your daily life because of what you do that not everybody has access to. That's what I used to do with speakers all the time. It's like, okay, you are a researcher in this particular division of biology, which means that you know a lot about X, Y, and Z things that I've never heard of before. Like, tell me 5 things about that. And I think you can apply that to anybody's, to any discipline. before you know it, you have a lot of opportunity for these curated lists that you mentioned, Twyla, like the, things,
that. And by
helpful things you don't like.
Yeah. By posting it is where like the real magic comes in, and you'll see if you're so stuck and you can only think of one list to put together that one list, and then the feedback loop that you create could create content for the rest of the year, literally just from what people comment or add to it, say they hate, have an opinion about something, have an opinion about one thing on that list and share that. And that, I think opinion pieces really perform really well because it can end up polarizing people. But, as long as you, kind of foster the right kinds of conversations, we learn a lot from disagreeing, I think, and exploring different viewpoints is also really important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could be stuck in like thinking about a thing in not a very great way, maybe, but by sharing it and being open to,
you get the feedback,
enlightened or helping enlighten other people is really great too.
You're also reminding me, and I know we are at time now, so thanks everyone for sticking around and for sharing some love for Twyla. There is a replay available for this session in case I noticed we had somebody mention in the comments that they missed the beginning. Don't worry, we'll send you a link so you can replay it. It'll be available on the YouTube page. But Twyla, one thing that you're making me think of, so I used to work with teenagers. I still do. I do a lot of youth development work, and we were doing a service trip, driving throughout the southeastern United States and on really long stretches of bus, like rides on a big bus. And kids were getting restless. And, we had like 2 hours left to go. And I made everybody go around and list and name something, a sensory experience, a small sensory experience that they find especially joyful. Like,
I would love that.
The smell, for me, it was like the smell of grinding coffee beans in the morning, or like the feel of popping bubble wrap, or, like those kinds of things. Right. And that, to me, that's like a different angle on exactly what you were saying. So maybe if there's something in your professional life, like for you as a photographer, like maybe, that, like you said, a bird flying through the shot, like the sight of a bird flapping its wings, just a list of something like that could be a great way to.
Yeah. Well, you can also have your audience make it for you. All you have to do is ask them the question and you create the content based on their answers, whether it's your favorite answers or just all of them, but it's, just finding an easy starting point like that. So if you find it really hard to write, starting with really easy wins like that, putting them together. And, I see things like that perform really well on TikTok too. So translating these things into kind of more viral platforms even, and videos and things like that, can be really effective.
It's great. And in the same way that people like, getting opinionated and having some of that kind of like the more polarizing side, people also find it contagious to share those, the little joys. Now, every time they
identify with it in a way that there aren't words for. And I find that the things that I've written that have been shared like that, it's kind of giving words to a feeling, somebody feels, whether it's like they feel dismissed or not appreciated, especially things that people like to share, but also just really, capturing the beauty of something in words that they haven't been able to find, compels people to share things.
Yep. Yeah. And then that inspiration is contagious.
It is. Yeah.
Love it. Well, friends at home, thank you all so much for joining us today. And for your great questions and comments. There will be a replay available. Also, if you're into this kind of content where we have amazing creators coming on and sharing for free their live, or their wisdom and their experiences and their advice with us here live, then like the video or subscribe to the Discover channel on YouTube, because we'll notify you when hopefully Twyla comes back to do another event with us, and creators from lots of other fields.
This one, we could do another hour just on like.
I know. Yeah,
there's
there's
so
lots
many
more
ideas.
to dive
I
into.
did this, and it literally launched probably a million ideas of more things I want to talk about and create.
We'll take it. And Twyla, thank you so much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge. We're so grateful to have this opportunity to learn from you today, and looking forward to the next one.
Thank you for having me. I loved getting to do this, and I hope that people, it helps somebody in any small way. And I really want to keep talking. So if you want to connect with me, like on Instagram or, wherever, find me somewhere, and I'll answer more questions or check these comments, and we can keep talking.
Yeah, and I love the community idea that you're building out, which is another thing that y'all can use to connect in a real way, and like a non-social media way. I mean, maybe starting with the community on Facebook, but then building out into the community of the real world, which is always a refreshing reminder of each other's humanity and shared interests and passions. So definitely check that out. And you have that through your website, right, Twyla?
Let's see.
The newsletter.
Oh yeah, so I have a community on Facebook, but I'm building one off of Facebook because I don't love that it's built on algorithms, and I don't think that fosters real community. So there's a newsletter on my website you can sign up for, because I've just started coordinating things like co-working, which has been really fun, and I really appreciate the value of accountability. I get up at 6:30 every morning and write with someone else, and that's been really life-changing, honestly. So if you struggle with writer's block, that can be really helpful, just finding one other person to hold you accountable to doing the thing you want to do. But I'm very interested in organizing more things that and yeah, I'm building another community. So I would, if you're into any of this, I'd love to have you be a part of it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Twyla. We really appreciate it. Hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.